Alright, so this is my guitar tutorial for the Elliott Smith song Pitseleh. So yeah, what's nice about this song is that in the album version, it's in standard tuning rather than like a whole step or a whole step and a half, which is nice because if you have one guitar like me, you have to keep tuning and tuning, but this one you don't. So yeah, like always, I'll put the link in the description of where I learned how to play the song personally, so that you can use it as reference. I don't know, it depends on how you learn. If you want to hear someone and if you want to see and hear someone tell you how to play it, or if you want to read it, it's up to you. I personally like to see and hear. I'm more of a practical, physical learner, I guess. But yeah, it's up to you. So I'll play a little bit so you can get an idea how it sounds. Yeah. Intro. So that's essentially how the song goes. I mean, you have the piano solo, which I'll explain later on, maybe in another part. So yeah. For the first chord, how you're going to start off, it's a form of an E minor. So yeah. You're still having the E minor, still on the second fret of the A and the D string, but the only difference is that your ring finger and your pinky are going to be somewhere else. So your ring finger is going to be on the second fret of the high E string, and the pinky is going to be on the third fret of the B string. To get that kind of sound. It's kind of, the positioning and fingering is kind of weird at first, but I mean, you get used to it with practice, and it's kind of useful if you get used to this, your ring and your pinky finger being there, because pretty much they're going to be there the whole song. I mean, the only fingers that change are your index and your middle, so you should probably get used to that. And another thing to mention about that is where your ring and pinky are, it's pretty much just the bottom end of a D chord, a regular D chord. See, a D chord, and then E minor with the ring and pinky. It's just the same. The only difference is that that's not there. It's just kind of gives it, I don't know, sort of a twang. I don't know if it's falling asleep. But anyways, so that's something to keep in mind when you're playing. Maybe it'll help you understand how to play the chord or what the chord is. So yeah. So starting off, so like most of his songs, he plucks the root and then strums the chord. So it's like pluck, down, up, I guess, if you want to know the strumming. I don't really think about the strumming, it just happens. So the next chord is a D with an add and F sharp, which is this chord. So like I mentioned before, the bottom two, your pinky and your ring, are the bottom end of the D. So if you're going to move this to, your index finger is going to be on the second fret of the low E string, which is the F sharp, and then your middle finger is going to be on the second fret of the G, which pretty much completes the D chord. And you only need to move your index and your middle finger. So the E minor to the D, you just need to move two fingers. And it's still on the same fret, so it's not that hard. You do that for a measure, I think. Intro. And then you go into the verse. So I'm gonna call that progression 1, just because I'm not exactly sure musically what is that, a chorus? I don't know what to call it, so I'm just gonna call it progression 1 just to make it easier. So in the beginning is I got a joke I've been dying to tell you. But anyways, once he says joke, what you're doing is that you're on the E minor. Once he says joke, just lift up your index finger and leave everything else. I got a joke, and you're I got a, and then you're plucking the A string, the open A string, the now open A string actually. So I got a joke, I've been, and then you turn into the D with the added F sharp. Da, da, da. So I got a joke I've been dying to tell you. And that chord is kind of weird because it's kind of awkward, but essentially it's a G. The only thing that makes it not a G is that one finger's offset, because usually G is like this. Only one finger is different. The high E is what's different. But anyways, so it's gonna be, your middle finger is gonna be on the third fret of the high E, or the low E string, sorry, and your index finger is gonna be on the second fret of the A string. So, and your ring and pinky, they're staying the same this whole time. So, just keep that in mind. So, I got a joke I've been dying. And then you jump right back into the verse. And then you do the progression 1 again. So after you do the progression number 1 twice, you jump into the, what I'll call progression number 2. Maybe that's called the chorus. I don't know. But anyways, so progression number 1. Then you jump into the E. After that, you jump into the E minor. And then the next chord is just you lift your index finger, and then you play the A. So. And then you go into progression number 2. Foot's falling asleep. And essentially what that is so once you go from sorry. Essentially what that goes from. So the first chord of that is it's a D chord actually, which is kind of interesting or kind of neat in a way. So you're completing the D chord. Nothing moves though. You're just putting your middle finger on the second fret of the G and leaving everything else there. Your ring and pinky should still be on those frets that I mentioned earlier. So you gotta do a D, and then you're gonna put your index finger on the second fret of the A string, and you're gonna pluck that. So pluck the D, pluck the open D string, pluck the second fret, no, pluck the A string, and then that turns into the E minor, but you just lift up the index finger. So D. D, da, 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 da. So pluck the D, A, and then A again, open A. Da, 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 da. And then you jump right back into the verse. yeah, that's essentially how the song goes. The video is getting kind of long, so I'll put up part 2 of the piano solo, which isn't too hard, but I don't know. So that'll be in part 2. So yeah, see you then.